6. To begin with, to start the day, I didn't think I was going to be able to start it. I couldn't lift my hand. I over-exerted myself. I pushed myself beyond what I should and not stay in my lane. It was like I went through this force field of energy.
Let's give a round of applause for Neil.
So, guys, every generation is afforded the opportunity to step forward and become its better self. It's then upon that generation to decide whether it will, heed the call, or otherwise it will succumb to its own passivity. I say that Neil Agius is the personification of that call in an epoch that is so abjectly marked by loudness, by vulgarity, by impulsivity. He reminds us of the strength that could be derived from stoic persistence, from humility. 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 Look, I think Neil he has my admiration, especially because I believe him to be the antidote to all that causes us to self-harm, to self-destruct sometimes. And I think he especially is a call to us as Maltese to restore our sense of self and our self-esteem. He reminds us to love and protect our seas. And I think it's high time we heed this man's call. I really, really do. So please join me in welcoming our brother, our fellow countryman, indeed my hero, Neil Agius. So, Neil, first of all, as you know, great honor, brother. Great honor.
Feeling is likewise.
I'm told I have an hour to cover 7 days of sheer heroism and an infinite amount of courage. I don't know if I'm capable of such a feat, but here it goes. Look, Neil, like all good films, we're going to start at the worst of the worst. So, day 6, sheer drama. You pushed your heart to an extreme. Am I saying this right when I say that your heart was at a sustained heart rate of 190 at a point?
Yeah, so what happened was, just to get everyone in the picture, day 6. To begin with, to start the day, I didn't think I was going to be able to start it. I couldn't lift my hand over my shoulder with the amount of damage through the chafing and being in the seawater for so long. But the day got started, and at about 60-70% in, a few team members that don't usually come on the boat came on the boat. Which was really amazing. Lara also came on the boat with our +1 as well, which is something that is inexplainable at the moment, what that actually means to me. And also I had the motivators who are also in the room, Kristen and Elaine, who were there supporting me. And what happened was, at this moment, was that I got stuck into the adrenaline of everything that was happening around me. And I over-exerted myself. I pushed myself beyond what I should and not stay in my lane. So what was happening was I went too fast. And this is like...
This is day 6?
This is day 6, yes.
Okay.
And this is what happens when we're trying to chase deadlines, no? We're going too fast then the adrenaline ran out, and I was dragging my soul and my body on the bottom of the sea, trying to get from point A to the final destination, which after day 6 of sleeping 1 to maximum 3 hours a day, swimming for 15, your mind is not capable of taking solid decisions. The little things, the fly on the wall bothers you.
Yeah.
Whereas the fly on the wall can be ignored for many days if you are in your right space, in your right body and mind, with the right nutrition and right care for yourself.
Did fear come into this at all?
The fear came in from day 0. There was at no point I wasn't afraid. There was, after day 1, I was like, I think this is a bad idea. After day 2, I'm 100% sure this is a bad idea. I'm having these conversations with myself. And the team comes, how are you doing? Good. Looking forward to tomorrow. And inside I'd be like...
I'm really curious to know if the team was buying it.
You have to understand, every morning It's like in the movies when there's an explosion and the people close by get stunned and they're like, each day I woke up closer to the explosion where it was like to the point where hasta fe don't even know where I am, but
So-
I'm going to go and swim for 15 hours.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, like, at this point where you're experiencing this huge agony, your heart is racing, at well, to me it sounds extremely dangerous.
To a point where the doctors were actually, for the first time in 8 years, were like, listen, what's happening? Like, you need to tone it down, you need to slow down, you need to, should we be swimming tomorrow? A lot of these came into our space, and when the doctors who have been with me for so many years speak to me like this, and with what I have that lies ahead of me,
Yeah.
I already took even a bigger step introvertedly, going, are we kind of pushing too much now? Are we overdoing it? Are we exaggerating?
Well, you're explaining like this, Dante's seven hells, where where like a new hell just keeps emerging. It's like, it could get even darker.
Yeah, listen, with the mind, there's no low is too low, and no high is too high. As low as you can go, you will dig yourself deeper into another hole that you didn't think.
Well, can you tell us about the deepest, darkest moment for you?
I think the deepest, darkest moment was me standing in Dwejra, about to start swim number 7, and Lara was putting on the creams on my body. There are photos in agony I was.
Yeah.
But once I touched the water, once I was swimming, once I swam through one of the most historic points in all of Europe, if not the world, through Dwejra, you could see the light blue coming through. It was like I went through this force field of energy. And that is what pushed me through to being able to then slowly stretch my arm out more, obviously in agony.
Yeah.
You're getting these scars and you're
Yeah.
getting pulling and pushing and probing.
Yeah.
And nature and the little bit of extra rest that I got changed the game all completely.
So you mentioned agony, and it's one thing that was really a word that was pulsating in front of my eyes every time I was, watching another reel or reading another post. You described it as 10 on 10 pain, which is essentially full, complete, harrowing experience.
My baseline of pain is quite high. I have my pain
We do know that. We are very aware. We're very aware.
We're on the 10, like, we're on the 10.
That much we're pretty certain of. But what I am wondering is not your ability to withstand pain. It's why. Why do you do it?
It's a really good question, but I do it because I believe that there's so much beauty and greatness and inspiration that comes from seeing someone go through such agony and keep moving. And even if it's a small step, and even if it's just a tiny step, like, wow, he did that, I can do this. And it really has, I mean, it might be hard for some people to understand because everyone's like, why would he swim again? Why? What's the point? Okay, he knows how to swim. Because of these moments, because of what we receive and what we are able to do to change someone, the trajectory of someone's rest of the day, rest of the month, maybe life, maybe turning point.
Maybe life. There is in fact a message that I would like to read. What you're describing here is kind of, you're aware of the power of, well, role modeling persistence. And in fact, the one message that I know your team received from a certain Lara Shiberas was, you might not see this, but I truly feel I should tell you because you are a real hero. Do you feel like a hero?
Not particularly a hero. I am who I am, and people can perceive me in the way that they feel is helpful to them.
Okay.
But if I walk around thinking I'm a hero, then everything just gets diminished into nothing.
It's good that you're humble, but obviously you are one of the very few heroes, brother, that we have. And that heroism that you're explaining, well, gave rise to something like this, which I'm going to read you. Last year, I was an active athlete, motivated and disciplined. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the year, I sustained an injury that forced me to change my plans. And when I recovered, but I still struggled, lacked motivation, and kept making excuses, and basically got stuck in laziness. Over the past few days, following your journey closely, I felt inspired once more. And this morning, I joined my old running club again for a track session, and the feeling was incredible. It felt like rediscovering a part of myself I had lost, and that was because of you. You truly are making a difference. Please keep going. The world is with you. How beautiful. Neil, Courage, Lara Shibaras. How does that make you feel?
That makes it feel like it's all worth it. If there isn't another message, if there isn't someone else that has been also affected in this way, then it's worth doing for one person to understand how capable she is and how she learned how to stop saying, I will go tomorrow and went today. And that's going to change a lot for her because she will not only use it in this moment, but in many other aspects of her life as well.
We all, of course, look towards you as a hero. Who do you look towards?
I think there's many different people in my life that allow me to be who I am, and I think those are my heroes. And I think my partner who lives with me and sees the struggles, and also for me to be able to do this, it's a big sacrifice on her end as well. You know, I'm missing for days, and when I'm there, would have just swam for 20 hours and have to work and have to do many things. So having her, she's the rock of the foundation that allows me to do these things.
Does she express concern?
Yes, but there's also a lot of trust. I think in the beginning it was a lot more concern. I mean, even all my friends are used to come up to me like, "Bro, you're going to swim around Malta. Like, listen, do you know what you're trying to do? This is dangerous stuff." And like, I'm worried for my safety. And now the switch is flipped. Like when I was signing up for another one, if like they all think like they're like, you know, he was not going to do another one. Each individual team member, all 30 of them, secretly came to tell me, when are we doing another one? And then in front of everyone, no, no more, no more, no more. And then من تحت الميدان اسمع. Someone of the team less than 12 hours ago was pitching to me that I should swim from Malta to Tunisia.
To go check out the bazaars. No. So look, let's talk about your wonderful community. I think it's a huge part of what you do, but also it's a huge part of kind of like it's a point of interest for people that are perhaps not within the closer community. Like we observe it and go, wow, look how he's managed to galvanize everything from CEOs, professionals, experts, and these guys like this all of the same. They decide, listen, explicitly for this 1 week, our life is switched off, and all we're doing is we're hanging out together in a house, and we are supporting this grand mission. Why? Why the madness? Why do they do this? Why for Neil Agius?
I think it's what's important for me when we have these teams, and they are very successful people running teams of 200-300 people, that sometimes for these people, it's also nice to not be the most important person in the room and not be turned to for every single decision that has to be made that affects the lives of 200 people. So they come, and we are also all moving towards that same mission. But there's also one more thing that I think really brings a lot of value, is that for me, it's very important that everyone who is part of the team, everyone who comes there, and everyone who participates and is in this circle also receives something from it. This is not about me only doing this, but what can they receive by being so close to something so amazing? Like the week, they're like family. We're like, and nobody says no to anyone. Everybody is just mission, 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 and purpose, purpose, purpose driven. And having a purpose, if you were in that house, a fly on the wall, you'd like, purpose is a very big part of people's drive.
Um, Is there something that the broader community, like the Maltese community, can learn from the community that has been fostered around these adventures of yours?
Yes, and that's why we're open the doors to let everyone to see how we operate, so everyone can understand how team dynamics can really work. And we have this idea that they need to be all in a certain way with hierarchies and this and that. When yes, people have to have certain more decision-making power, but at no point is anyone standing over anyone in that room.
There's
Neither me.
there's authority, but not kind of a trampling on dignity, on just like the basic human value.
Yes, yes.
And it's a beautiful thing to learn. And I
And
think
even the ones who have the decision-making power, it's taken between a few people then. So they are the ones saying the words out into the earth, but they are discussed with several team members before.
you also mentioned purpose, which I think is something that is, well, unfortunately, deeply lacking in today's very fast-paced and sometimes a bit superficial society. Can you describe what the purpose is that is derived from your challenges? What is it?
I think it's always kind of changing, right? And it's never linear. And this is it. But right now, the purpose is to really show and prove to people how, with certain frameworks and with certain tools and with a certain way of giving yourself importance, doesn't have to be for the whole day, for a short amount of period throughout the day, can help you sustain a high level of focus and efficiency throughout your day, and with people and with everyone around you. I want to bring this up, one of the turning points of one of the swims was Lara sent a message through one of the team because she wasn't on the boat. And she said that to believe in the ocean is to believe in yourself. And me, by just saying that to believe in the ocean is to believe in yourself, I'm like, you know what? I do believe in the ocean and I do believe in myself. And something like that is amazing.
Yeah.
But then I was swimming and just further unpacking it. And then it's like to have a community of people, to have the team believe in me, but also believe in themselves is a superpower.
So first of all, as soon as you said that, I got this image of kind of like almost a Moana Disney musical where you're all like singing the same thing and you're all singing.
it's
very, very similar. It's very, very. Imagine Neil Juice in Eurovision. Can I do the rap part? You think?
You can come on the top of the mast and be like,
That's amazing. My speedos. No one wants to see me in my speedos, my friend. Look, let's get to the challenge. Day one was the conditions were terrible, dude.
let me tell you, what took me by surprise was the difficulty of the course. Gozo, it's no joke. And the currents and what is actually on paper to what you're seeing on a screen through the websites of the forecast is not necessarily what's going on under the water. Definitely not.
Okay, so but I saw that the waves were higher, sometimes covering you.
Yeah.
Were you concerned that this might not be the right time to get into the water?
That didn't pass through my mind because it wasn't an option.
Why was it not an option?
Because we said we're going to do it.
Okay, you also described fear being there from day zero.
Yeah.
The
fear, let me explain. The fear from day zero is because a week before the start of the swim, I went to a doctor because I had an injury and I have that slight tear in two parts of my intercostal muscle. So I couldn't, a week out from the swim, I didn't swim all week.
Okay.
And 3 days out, I went to take off my t-shirt and I got stuck and I couldn't take it off. The doctor's telling me, listen, don't swim. Like, it's not possible. And I'm like, it's not possible. As much as it's not possible for me not to swim, it's not possible for me not to swim. And like, we're going to swim and we're going to take it day by day. So the fear comes from, I've never not swam for a week. I can't even remember when I didn't swim for a week, let alone a week before this huge week that was coming up.
So you spent time not swimming before
a whole week, a whole 7 days not swimming.
What was it like living in your head at that point?
To be honest, I was distracted with the logistics of the swim. I think that helped. I mean, we didn't have certain key things until 2 days before, like people. we didn't have berths for the boats in Gozo until 2 days before. We didn't get a confirmation that late, and we're still kind of doing everything in the meantime to pretending like that's not an issue as well, you know. There's the multi layers of this swim, is the logistics, like what was happening while I was swimming, the amount of things simultaneously happening while I was swimming is something that is incredible, incredible.
If I had to ask, kind of, what is the first wall that you hit once you were in the water? What was that?
It's this display of the mind of me not swimming for a week before. It's something that I never really have done, as I mentioned. But then, so you're swimming and you're like, ah, my shoulders are getting tight. Ah, that's because I didn't swim. And then it's like a whole, don't forget, you're with your face in the water. You can't hear anything. So you're on your own. So
How did you deal with that?
I love it on my own. Let's call a spade. Like the silence, and there's been a lot of work to.
Yes, but you're also getting doubts. So you have a voice that's saying, "Well, perhaps this is nuts, brother." How are you dealing with that doubt?
Basically, it's like, okay, let's just kind of keep swimming and let's see where it goes. And if you can't swim anymore, then you can't swim anymore.
So it was one stroke at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that throughout, Nigel was, conducting like a mental health analysis. Is that correct in me saying that? Was that a daily thing, Nigel?
Yes.
Can we have Nigel a mic, you think? Is there another mic for Nigel?
It's not. Maybe come to this. No pressure. That's fine.
Well, welcome, Nigel. How are you?
Rob.
So you were conducting like.
Can you switch on? The speakers might be off.
Give us a hello. No, it's still dry.
Hello.
Maybe the other one as well. Okay.
All right, here we are. Okay, so every day you're kind of like monitoring what's going on in his head, to speak plainly. Can you explain to us like how the ordeal was affecting him as it progressed?
Okay, so I got some baseline tests. So I've heard of Neil, just from the perspective of the test. And this, so we met before, and we still haven't finished, so I still have a question. So we
You want to do the last one here?
It will take time. We're very curious for this. Okay, so I met Neil before, the team met Neil before. We did some baseline tests. We did some baseline tests of Neil's concentration, and we did some tests, intelligence tests, and also. And we did this QB test, which indicates which tests movement, hyperactivity, so hyperactivity, impulsivity, concentration. We usually use it for ADHD, but in this case, we wanted to test attention and sustained attention over time and over the day. And what's interesting is that initially, so on baseline, we did find that he does struggle with concentration, and we mentioned that this is something throughout his life when he was in education. And what we did find was that the concentration did completely get lost from day one. So from baseline to day one, there was a shift when I say concentration when it came to this test.
So it just there was a complete degeneration to zero. Okay.
However, I think it's important. I mean, learning more about Neil is that my impression is that he learns things in the water, is the way he describes it. And the purpose he's mentioning is in the water. So in the water, he is focusing. This test was seen as extra, was my impression. So obviously, if you don't see it, or if your brain has focused enough to sustain, keep you within check for 15 hours, and that 20 minutes after was all extra. So the concentration probably just went completely off, and there was also dissociation. So
what is dissociation?
So seeing the boxes and the squares were moving all over the screen, and okay.
Did you hate it as much as he's making it out?
I think at times I had to push a bit this get it done because I did it.
Did you ever feel like
We're glad you did push. We're glad you did push. This is the first thing I was telling them, I'm not doing this test.
Sorry, what was that?
The first thing I tell them in the car is like, do I have to do this test? It's 25 minutes of looking at shapes and boxes
Yeah.
and colors changing in front of you.
Right.
And you have to make a signal on the space bar when certain things are repeated, basically.
Why did you choose to do it?
Because it was important for us to take the scientific route, really understand what happens when we push ourselves out of our comfort zone. So we want to find
Oh, okay.
the real cause and the real ways to actually avoid this from happening.
I'm going to pitch myself as a biographer to your book. Cool. So it went to zero, his concentration.
So we looked at concentration, we looked at anxiety, we looked at stress levels, we looked at recovery. I think something which impressed me, okay, was the fact that he would come out of the water lucid, and that the focus would be on the team and leadership
Wow.
skills. So after 15 hours,
Okay.
I would be probably quite hungry and frustrated and want to keep myself to myself. I think Neil was ready to meet people and to be aware to support the team. So this is the quality. So we do tests, all right, but the tests just tell a few numbers. The qualitative with the story, the narrative behind it, I think is the team.
Yeah.
I think I was impressed with how the team came together. They all knew what they had to do. And I got the feeling that over by day 3, the team was getting a bit anxious, a bit concerned about the waves and about me, because physically I was exhausted. I mentioned the physical pain.
Yeah.
But me would kind of calm the whole team down every time we came out of the water. There was one day on day 6 where there's a question where I think Neil had had enough, and he said, I'm stopping jar, I'm not going to shut that one, and that was it, game over. But that was the only time, I think, where Neil pursued beyond the physical. I think this is a very good example. So Neil mentioned a doctor, chiropractor, physiotherapist telling him not to start this event because of the intercostal muscle tear. I think this is a good example. There are many reasons why we don't want to do something, we don't feel like going training, we don't feel like going to work. I think Neil pursued completely mentally.
Yeah.
As opposed to physically. Yes, his body responded, yes, he's an elite athlete, an Olympian.
From all of these tests and these kind of like very difficult ordeals, and then right after you're kind of examining what's going on, is there anything that us, like as mere mortals, that we can glean from this experience? What can we take?
I think it is the power of mental strength. So although he was physically exhausted, he was tired socially at times. So from some scores, he didn't feel like being socially there. Fatigued, a bit tense. He was never sad, but from the scores, but was anxious, and the anxiety was going up. Self-confidence was always high. He knew what he wanted, and was going to get it, but it was all mental.
So were you asking him whether he was still feeling like he could do it?
Yes, he was sure he was going to do it. So when we have the conversation, we would have a chat, maybe after these boxes, 5-10 minutes of a chat. He says, of course I'm going to come to him.
But he looked like we all saw in the videos. You didn't look amazing, you know. Like you look very, very tired, you know.
Yeah.
But inside the head, it was like, well, there's only one way now. That's so inspiring. That's so inspiring. Okay, thank you very much, Nige. Grazie. So you say it's community, the ocean mindset, which we're going to get to as well, and also breathwork. What can you teach us about breath, the importance of it?
I think it's just important to know that it's the remote control of your nervous system.
Okay.
Point blank, that it's certain sequences that you can follow within a 5-minute period changes your mood into what type of sequence you're doing. And it's instant. So you don't need to do it for a month. You don't need to go to the gym for a month to see your bicep get bigger. You do it, you feel it, you carry on with your day. You're anxious, you had a first meeting, or you left the house arguing with your partner, have to go into this boardroom meeting, and your stress levels are already up here.
Yeah.
How do we get them back? How do we downregulate? Through our breath. And it's taken for granted because it's free and it's attached to us. Because if I tell you, listen, take this jug, get these wires, stick them to your ears, and it's going to help you downregulate, and it's €200 a month subscription fee, it will go viral.
Yeah.
But because it's free, people are like, always, it's the easiest thing to say, I'll do it later.
Are there different protocols for different states of arousal?
Yes. So like I've created practices of intuition, of focus, so you learn how to become focused for longer periods, down regulating your heart rate. If you're about to go on stage, many times you go on stage, maybe your heart rate is like it's a bit higher than usual. Then you can have a practice to lower your heart rate, and being able to handle more CO2 in your body makes you panic less, because when you panic, you're and you're building up the CO2 in your body. So the more you can handle it, the panic attack is going to come in a lot later.
Wow. Okay. And in fact, sometimes I've noticed, like I've been in a tense situation for a while, and sometimes it's like I almost forgot to breathe at all.
Exactly.
Like, and then after 5 minutes, I think I need some oxygen. Obviously, the protocols are more explicit, and they can help you get to your goal far quicker. Oh.
Yeah. And they like I do breathwork 5-6 times a day. It depends. Sometimes like I just have too many screens open on my laptop, and who's calling me about the swim, and who's calling me about swimming lessons, and who needs this or who needs that. And I'm like, whoa, like let me just do this breathwork. Erases everything. There's silence in your mind. Something like we're so overstimulated, as you mentioned, like this 5 minutes of silence. You're like, what? Nothing. It's like you're restarting your computer.
And how does the ocean mindset come into this? And can I use it on land, essentially? As well
Yes,
as the
of course,
question.
of course. These tools are to be used on land. They're not to be used in the sea. I have specific breathworks that I use myself in the sea, but this is tried and tested by someone who's very experienced in the sea. You don't drive and do breathwork, and you don't swim and do breathwork because
Right.
it's not a safe environment.
Right. Because in the beginning you mentioned, like, not in the beginning, but at the point you said, I believe in the ocean, therefore I believe in myself, or something along that. What does it mean to believe in the ocean? What does that mean?
To believe in the ocean is to believe in something so powerful and so strong, and something that has been here forever and knows everything, and so many profound teachings that it can give us, like walking in nature and not going for picnics or gen or food or egg. Go for a walk in nature in silence, hear the trees, hear the leaves moving in the wind, and you're going to get back to your car and you're going to go, la, I learned so much about myself, because the nature and that space is opening the doors for you to be more aware of yourself, a clearer thinking.
Anything that you could share with us that you maybe in that kind of, in that void, in that point of just space, you learned about yourself?
During the swim, especially the first 4 days, so when you're completely immersed and you're seeing the sun shining, hitting the bottom, the reflections, the cliffs, it's like totally locked in a flow, and like you feeling the pins and needles in my fingers, and how it shows you how powerful you could be. But also the cliffs this year was something that took me by surprise. I was every day would go next to they called me, like they're like, come bring me in closer, and it makes me want to pray. And I'm not someone who initially would wake up in the morning and say, let me pray, but it brought me to that point of not even praying for the success of the swim, praying for my friends, for my family, and they're very special moments that I will treasure forever. And like so many different things happening at once within a 15-hour swim.
That's extremely beautiful. Now I'd like to explore a bit the idea of failure. So the whole experience was set up for you to fail, essentially.
But can I just dive into a little bit deeper setup for me to come to that point where we cannot do it anymore? So someone who is mentally stable and strong, purposely going to that place again to understand what is happening. So I'm using the swimming as a tool to take me through to what someone's depression could feel like. And with the lack of sleep, with the lack of ability to focus, I could not control the things that I could usually control. So everything bothered me. Everyone bugged me.
But we're doing it voluntarily, which is so the way you explained it is
That's the study, that's the point. To voluntarily do it, to write, to record, to get the tests, to get the blood tests every day. After a 15-hour swim, they would take bloods, and just to let you know, they go for the same hole every time, huh? I'm like, whoa. So like 7 times, I'm like, this hand now, this hand. I'm like, this.
Can I add something to what they say? I think day 6 needs results where probably he was sleeping. Day 7.
The results in terms of like the bloods,
No,
the mental acuity
So,
test.
so this is interesting. So they pushed himself to his physical and mental limit. Right? What's interesting, on 2 hours sleep, although I believe a little anxiety and wasn't sleeping enough, was sleeping good to need this. Okay. So what is interesting is, and even we get that we get this impression that the body really needs sleep. The body needs sleep, but for a short period of time, like a week. He was able to live on 3.5 hours sleep, is what his work shows. But his body was adjusting and recovering enough to be in the amber. It's green, amber, red. So there were some days in the red, some of he was getting to the amber. So physically, even his blood test, although it was being pumped every day, were showing that his body was not decompensating. He technically could have kept swimming. From the results on day 7, everything dropped from the mental health side. Exhaustion started falling into place. His concentration improved from the test. His fatigue improved, which goes into maybe other philosophies, that when we think that we are exhausted and we have come to the end, we actually we've only used 40% of the fuel of our tank, and there's 60% left. The mind is a very interesting concept, and we haven't even
Why does the mind
gone
do
deep
that?
enough.
Why does it?
The mind wants to keep us safe. From an evolutionary point of view, we need to be in the cave, because if we're outside doing what they're doing, they're going to be sharks fighting us, we're going to have time, warriors, yes, going to get killed. So from an evolutionary point of view, our brain wants to keep us comfortable. When I get up this morning to go swimming, and my body was very much, I haven't slept enough, you have a long day to remain in bed. Our body wants us to be comfortable, probably this was happening to me. So it was very interesting to see how every day, initially he was worrying about sleep, and didn't need it as much. And physically, the blood showing didn't need as much. And mentally, on day 7, it was suddenly better. Okay, it's suddenly better.
Wow.
But obviously, you were there for a long time.
What an interesting kind of reversal of like what you would expect almost. What does it feel like for you? So you hit your limit, eventually hit your limit.
Hit
Did
my
you-
limit in that moment.
Yeah. But did you know that you were going to hit the limit? Like when you set
that
out,
was-
you're looking for the limit. This is why you're here.
Yeah. To be fair, we were playing on that line of limit for a long time, and it's just like you're walking this straight line and you're like trying to keep your balance, and eventually my leg slipped. But there's always the opportunity to go back onto the line. The line's always going to let you
You're
back.
hinting at another adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get to the future,
I'll keep the halt, Adi.
the inference. Look, I know you were looking for the limit, but
Life on
were you disappointed when you couldn't go on any further? Do you feel like any sadness?
Not really, because it really didn't feel like I was trying to prove anything to anyone. I didn't feel like it was like if I let down anyone, whereas previously in difficult moments, it's like I felt like I let down the whole nation. But this is what we set out to be, to do, to get to this point, to then, when you're here, try to be aware of what's happening so you can learn from the situation, not to be totally overtaken by how intense it is.
Lara, you saw this whole thing. Would you have him do it all over again? Would you be okay with it? Maybe give Lara the microphone.
Jon, personal recovery. But
Sorry? Okay, sorry, yeah.
yes, I mean, it is very soon to try and answer this question. But yes, being together and committing to support him means supporting him all the way. And if he feels he has it in him to do it again in whatever shape or form, then and behind him, although it takes a real lot.
And this time it took even more because obviously +1. Also, for the first time, like I have to admit, I cut the first documentary that was done, and I spent like many hours and nights watching your guys' relationship. It's like I really, really knew you, and I was deeply moved by how close you guys were, and how in his first swim you were always there at the edge of the rim while everyone else is asleep. You're not leaving this man alone. But for the first time, like you had to leave him alone. How was that?
It was really hard. It was actually harder than I expected. It was also quite beautiful because we managed to sustain a level of connection that perhaps on the boat, with all the chaos, is not so easy. Whereas I knew that he was in this space, in this zone, and I could go into my space, in my zone. I had a room with a view of the sea where I spent a lot of time. And there were many beautiful moments. And then we'd share at the end of the day, like where we went, that space.
Okay, so you kind of like met in the ether somewhere.
In a way, if you want to put it that way, there's many different versions,
Yeah.
but it was special. And then I also knew that the sense of responsibility this time wasn't only towards us and our relationship and our future, but there was someone else involved.
Yeah.
And I had a responsibility to take care of
Yeah.
the baby too, you know.
You and Lara are obviously expecting. What's the first thing you would teach your child about what it is to be a human being?
I think it's to respect others the way you would want them to respect you.
And what would you want your child to think of his or her father?
Maybe they're superhero. That one's allowed.
100% agree. So look, we've spoken about the importance of community, of breathwork, of the ocean mindset. But what can you tell us about the importance of deep romantic love?
I'm laughing to help myself think in the meantime more. I think it's supporting each other through each other's dreams and always being. You can't always be 100% there for each other, but understand who needs to take the lead role when to support the other person. And during the swims, Lara comes and supports me, and now the role is reversed for me to support her. So now I'm her motivator.
What is it like to be in love with Nila Juice? Not the worst adjective, my friend.
Could be worse.
Mela, so two final questions from my end. So one is why did you choose Gozo? Why Gozo?
I think it was just calling me. Like when I see it on the map, like I spend a lot of time like on Google Earth measuring country to country, and
What a hobby to have.
like from Palteneria to Malta is 200 kilometers, just in case you want to know. FYI.
Again, you're hinting, my friend.
Throwing seeds. What was the question and say it? Sorry.
So why did you choose Gozo?
Yes, because I think when I finished there, when I was pushed to finish there because of the currents, it always took a special place in my life. And to be able to highlight it now that we have a voice, now that we have people watching from outside of Europe, from the world, that people should know about this majestic little island. And it's very photogenic. I don't know if you saw those reels. Like,
Yeah.
like it looks great too.
Yeah.
And the power that it has with the currents underneath and the laid back lifestyle that it shows us is something that people should step foot on. So that's why it was Gozo.
And Why is your team just so incredible?
I mean, we could do a whole other hour talking about the team. Like, we barely touched surface with them, but they really do support the mission. Like, I come and I tell them what the mission is, and that is what is the first focus, first mission. And then we see how we're going to make it as easy as it possible for Neil to accomplish this mission. And nothing gets sided from the mission. The mission is the number one goal, not Neil, the mission. And having them together for a week to spend time in this high volatile space has brought so much, I think, love for each other. The friendships and the messages and everything that is crossing through the team is beyond what I thought it would bring. But it was also a risk to get 30 people who don't usually spend time with together to live together. But I had a belief that when we bring like-minded people to the same space and give them a purpose and give them a goal and really have the organization down to a T, then this is what came from it, something we all didn't expect.
Any special thanks you want to give now that you have the room and you have everyone's attention?
I think everyone who has supported me along the way with many situations, my parents are always there to do the things that I don't have time to do and fill the holes that keep my car moving forward, not on potholes.
Good luck.
They make the ride a lot smoother. And yeah, I think it's maybe the moment to also thank the sponsors as well. But my paper that was here was taken from me. Where's Maria? Because without them, it takes an army to organize these swims. The level
Of course.
of detail that goes into it, and without them, without Go, Visit Malta, Visit Gozo, Kia, Maple, Saracino, Bon Charge, it's a recovery.
Is that the infrared?
Yeah.
That looked really cool. Can I try it?
Yes. Okay. Coming, I have lots of toys. Like my recovery station was full of toys. There's Dr. Juice, Move, Rise Physio, Gozo General Hospital, Strand Marine, and RLR that came together to support in some way or another for the mission, always for the mission, which is super appreciative and amazing. The amount of support that we find when we are attempting these crazy swims.
So look, special thanks to the sponsor, special thanks to the community, a special thanks to Lara, special thanks to you, Neil Agius, dear fellow Maltese. I hope you're reminded to breathe better, to seek purpose, to seek community, and for the love of God, heed the call of Neil Agius. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.